In the book, you talk about there's some research that says that eating fruit first thing in the morning without any other foods is best for digestion. Would eating it as a singular food first thing in the morning impact blood sugar? Like, what's your take on that?
Well, you know this idea of, if you eat fruit as dessert, it's going to rot in your stomach or it's going to putrefy. That's kind of a urban myth that's been floating around. So if you look at the ideal food order from that science, you should eat the sugar last, right? And fruit is also in the sugar category. And so how do you reconcile both of those things? And people have asked me a lot about this concept of, fruit for dessert is going to rot in your stomach. Turns out there's no scientific evidence to support that. Nothing can rot in your stomach. Nothing can putrefy in your stomach. Sugar eaten last or fruit eaten last does not do that, okay? Now, even though most of us think that a piece of fruit is supernatural, they're like, a banana or a peach, like that's nature's bounty. Turns out, Jay, the fruit that we find today in supermarkets is actually not natural. Humans are very good at breeding stuff. So humans have bred gray wolves into chihuahuas, right?
Yeah.
And loads of other breeds of dogs. We've also bred our fruit and our plants to be very sweet and full of sugar. If you compare a banana from today to an ancestral banana, they look nothing alike.
Wow.
The ancestral banana is small, full of seeds, full of fiber, quite tart. Modern day banana is basically dessert. Same for apples. Apples used to be small like cherries. Now they're this big, nice little plump package of water and sugar, essentially. If you want to eat something sweet, a piece of whole fruit is still the best thing to eat because of that protective fiber. And I explained the fiber makes that mesh in your intestine. But then as soon as you denature a piece of fruit, whether you juice it, you take away the fiber, you blend it, you pulverize the fiber, then it becomes just one big glucose spike waiting to happen. And it's not because something comes from fruit that it's good for you.
Yeah,
right?
that's a really good explanation. I appreciate that. I think there's always been people who've demonized fruit as well in that way, but I think that explanation actually gets into the nuance and subtlety of how we're having our fruit and why.
I'm never going to say don't eat fruit. It's totally fine to eat fruit. Seriously, it's much better to eat fruit than a cookie, right? For your glucose levels, for your body. And it is still an unprocessed food, right? It's been bred and
it's
changed.
been bred. That's the,
but it's still unprocessed. So of course have fruit. Just don't denature that fruit.
Totally.
Because then you're taking it even further and further away from the way nature intended us to consume it.
Yeah. I actually remember when I first went to India with my mom, and my mom was making me the same curries that she would make me in London, but now making them when we were living in India. Just for a bit. We went visiting when I was younger. And it's so interesting because each vegetable was so flavorful, but so different. And I'm sure you feel this back home or when you're traveling, like you can find these places in the world where you're eating real vegetables again or real fruits and they don't look as perfect.
No.
They all look imperfect.
They're
and
kind of
random.
funky.
Yeah, they've got personalities. And even the flavors are not consistent. So like a zucchini is going to taste different to another one, but it's still so flavorful, but in such a unique way. And I remember saying to my mom, like, what are you doing here? Like, what are you doing differently in India that you're not doing back in London? It was just what was accessible. And I think that's in the States for sure, where I feel that even more than from London, where in London, I still felt certain vegetables and everything was still accessible. But here, I really feel like a lot of the vegetables and fruits that we're eating are super processed.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really tough.